What's up, everybody? Noble Comics here, and today we're going to be talking about an old debate that I think is not as controversial as people think it is. I think that the Batman v Superman debate, which is pretty hotly contested, they made a whole movie about it, kind of, but it's one of those classic debates, right? Who would win, Batman or Superman? But it's really not as controversial as people think it is, and I think at the end of the day, everybody actually agrees. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but let me kind of lay it out here. Because I feel like when two people engage in that debate, who would win, Batman or Superman, each of them has their own mentality of what that even means to start with. Like, if you're a Batman fan, your thought is, okay, Superman's coming at Batman. It would be like The Dark Knight Returns, where he's just coming to like put Bruce down, something like that. And Batman's prepared. He's had all this prep time. That's always the big thing, right? Batman with prep time can do anything. And so Batman's just going to school him. And if you're on the pro-Superman side, you're thinking Superman is totally without morals. It's just power set v power set. And Superman would just speed blitz, rip Batman in half before he could react, before he could think. And I feel like that's not often communicated. Now, if you go on like Comic Vine or something, they usually have that set up in the beginning, whether the character's acting in character or not, morals on or off. But when you're talking with people, you're on YouTube, whatever, it's usually not well defined, or each person may have their own parameters that they've put in place just internally that the other person's not thinking about. And that's where you get the argument. People kind of get lost in translation almost on this topic, because here's the thing: there is an answer to who would win Batman v Superman, and as much as like a cop-out it may seem, the answer really is it depends. Because look, if it's power set v power set, morals turned off, of course Superman's gonna win, because speed is really the only factor when it comes to it. Because you could say Batman had all these plans, he had all this stuff, yada yada yada. But Superman has so many speed feats that it's kind of ridiculous to not think that he could just move at this 100 times the speed of light and just rip Batman in half before Batman could blink, or before he could reach in his pocket and pull out some kryptonite. And I know there's always the response of, whoever wins is just whoever the writer likes more, and whatever, maybe. But power set v power set, obviously Superman's going to win if morals are turned off and everything like that, and the two just fight each other. If morals are turned on and it's character v character, then I think that's obviously, one, a more interesting debate to have. But two, I think that's where the Batman side really does shine. Because if it's Clark Kent versus Bruce Wayne, Superman's not going to want to hurt his friend. He's not going to want to go all out. Obviously, he's not going to kill him. It's Superman. He's not going to want to go too far. But Batman, well, Batman doesn't want to kill Superman either. He has a lot more of a dulled conscience when it comes to violence. So he's obviously going to prepare to torture Superman. He's going to use kryptonite. He's going to use Red Sun if he can. He's going to use whatever's at his disposal to cripple his enemy. And if Batman has enough prep time, which whatever, some people think, give Batman 30 seconds, he could take on God. But, give Batman a few days to prepare, something like that. The longer he has to prepare, obviously, the greater his chance of winning. But, yeah, I think Batman probably takes it if it's character v character. And Batman knows the fight's going to happen, which I don't really see a fight between the two in character where Batman doesn't see it coming, right? And to the first point where I said, just bloodlusted Superman would lose, I know people might bring up, well, there have been instances in the comics as well as like animated stuff where a brainwashed Superman or mind-controlled Superman has to fight Batman and Batman wins. And I'll say the majority of those times, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's either one of two things, where the brainless, or the mind-controlled Superman is brainless, right? He's not acting to the highest mental capabilities, kind of like a zombie, kind of like when he's controlled by poison ivy or something like that. Or Superman still has some inner resistance from his moral, rational self that limits him. It's the classic like, come on, you can do it, you can beat it. This isn't you, and then he doesn't kill Batman or whatever. It's always one of those two things. The only example may be Scott Snyder's Batman. I can't remember which issue it was. Well, I guess what volume it was. Starting with his Court of Owls. It may have been book volume 6 or 7. I don't know if it was that far, but it was somewhere around there where he takes on part of the Justice League, and he does fight Superman, and Superman is mind controlled, and seems to be going pretty full force. But Batman like already has like kryptonite gum in his mouth that he chews and spits on Superman. And Scott Snyder's Batman was insane. Scott Snyder's Batman was like the most powerful edition of the character. The guy was prepared for anything. That was the total God Batman mode. Prepared for anything. Which I don't think is... It's not too far off, but Batman is still just a human. Let's kind of keep that in our minds. But yeah, I think the debate is a lot simpler than people give it credit for. Because look, because I feel like the people who say Superman would win, that's why they get upset. Is they say, how can you not recognize how much more powerful this guy is than Batman? Which is true. If it's just a power v power, obviously Superman crushes him. But the Batman fans are like, how can you not recognize how skilled and calculated and smart Batman is compared to Superman, which is also true. So if it was Clark Kent, kid from Kansas, trying to do the right thing, versus Batman, who in all likelihood would have time to plan this out. He's already planned it out, but say like he had a heads up that the fight was happening, which again would most likely be the case in universe, in character. I think he wins more often than not, simply because he's willing to take advantage of Superman in a way Superman will not take advantage of Batman. And I make a joke when I say stuff like this, like, though, this should be non-controversial. This should be relatively non-controversial, right? I can't see somebody who thinks, like, power v power, Batman wins, or, like, mind v mind, Superman wins. Even though I get it, Superman is a quote-unquote genius, but really Superman can just think faster than other people. But the prep time and everything, and just the meaner spirit of Batman, I think would win more often than not. So I feel like that's a pretty conclusive and definitive end to the argument, because there's clear communication about what people mean and what the stances people take mean. So I feel like that should be pretty clear. Let me know what you guys think, if you disagree or you agree. Yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.